Good morning, Bridge Nation. Welcome to the Public Eye. I'm Ronald Thwaites, and the Honourable Colonel Charles is with me. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ronnie. How are you doing?
Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us once again. This is the Public Eye on the Bridge 99. This is a link with the current affairs of the Jamaican state, broadcast beamed everywhere in the world on the Bridge 99, in sound and in picture. Join us by any medium that you have access to. It's the idea of using technology in order to keep us together as a people, to inspire us, to make us aware of the challenges that we face, and always to look forward in the interests of the nation and our people. At midday, Jamaica time, 1 o'clock Eastern Seaboard time, we join Irwine Clare for the Global Hour. And this morning in the program, in the first hour, Patricia Sutherland, who is the president of the People's National Party Women's Movement, joins us to talk about what she sees as the enduring and escalating violence against women and children. And later on, with Irwine Clare at Irie Jam, we link with Mr. Mark Golding, the Member of Parliament for South St. Andrew and leader of the People's National Party, who is leading a tour of sections of the United States. What is his perspective on Jamaica 60? Why the tour of the Diaspora? What's the message that he is conveying? You'll only hear them here on the Bridge 99 FM on the Public Eye. So, sir, I am concerned, because all of our people are, that the nation seems to be on edge with the levels of crime and violence. Last night, if you watch the television in Jamaica, the first 4 items were all about murder and reprisal and official killing. It was very disturbing, and many people are particularly worried about this young woman, Donna Lee Donaldson, who disappears or goes to visit her policeman boyfriend and hasn't been seen for days, and who many people feel the police are not coming straight in their response. How do you see it?
Well, let me take the first. The police cannot afford to get the nation being right against them. Absolutely. In other words, the police has to have something why they can make that statement. They have to know something, in my opinion, why they can make that statement. Because if the woman has a child for the policeman and indicate that they still have a relationship because she go to the house.
No, it is another woman for whom he has a child. And apparently, or the suspicion is that there's some jealousy, obviously, because he is playing both women.
No. The girl is his girlfriend.
The girl who is missing is his girlfriend.
And she doesn't have a child.
No. The other woman who is a policeman too.
Yes, but she has a child for him.
Yeah.
You follow me?
Yeah, I do.
So I'm saying it's easy to say if she has a child for him and has a relationship that she can go to the house, and this one doesn't have a child but she have a relationship, can go to the house, then I think that 3 people at that level have to have something to talk about.
Yes.
Now, if the police come out and say, I've interviewed the woman, I've interviewed the man, and I have no suspicion, my brother.
That is not what they've said.
That's. I would say that to you, that let's show there is no suspicion.
Yeah, well.
But then I heard, I don't know if it is true, I heard that the woman has been allowed to leave the island.
That is a strong suspicion which they have not refuted.
No, hold on, Ronnie. They have not refuted
The police have not said that they said she's refused to give a statement.
Yes, but the police has not said, because the police easy to know when you pass to the airport.
No, sir. They ought to, but they know.
No. If you go through the airport,
they're supposed to be a record.
Legally.
Yeah, there's supposed to be a record.
There is a record. Yeah. There has to be a record.
But tell me now, let me ask you this. In circumstances like this, yes, we can't try this case here, but this bit, if one of your boys from North Clarendon or one of mine from Central Kingston was to be
in the woman's position,
brought in a situation, man or woman, policeman or policewoman or whoever,
and say not talking.
What would you think? You think it could go so, Mr. Charles?
He couldn't go back home.
He couldn't go back home. He get some
Hold on.
some lick.
Probably, even get a good policeman and say, listen, you have to sit down till you're ready for talk. Because we have a suspicion.
So what
happened? The nation of a suspicion.
But do you understand the underlying erosion of confidence, or erosion of the thing we talk about on this program, of trust, that pristine virtue? When you have the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of crime.
Who is a police?
Who is the subject of a cartoon this morning in the Observer newspaper, because the whole country believes that he's obfuscating, that he's not talking. I know that police can't talk everything that they know. But when you hold a press conference and people end up in such an electric situation where you have a woman in those circumstances disappeared, yes, you got to do more. And when you tell us that person says they're not giving a statement, when you say nothing about the boyfriend policeman, whether he's been questioned, whether you talk about his car being processed. No, listen to me.
No,
hello, sir. Justice demands and trust demands equality.
Yes, and
fairness.
And examinations like these requires some sort of secrecy.
I don't expect the details.
Some sort, but the police has indicated that they are talking to the woman.
No.
That they have spoken to her.
And then she will refuse to tell him anything.
Well, it doesn't stop there. She has a right not to talk until she gets an attorney.
Absolutely.
Right? But if you have a suspicion, then you must have questions that initiate that suspicion.
Anybody else, any other situation, that person would be in custody.
Not necessarily.
Oh, my Lord, Mr. Charles.
Hold on. Not everybody else. Let us say it was me.
They put you in jail for less already.
Ronnie, hold on, man.
Come, no. This one is burning people.
I'm talking about the policewoman's right.
I don't want to be. I believe in those.
She has a right not to give a statement, but she has a right to have to answer the police.
No, well, those two are contradictory.
Right. So she must answer the police if I have a question.
The normal routine would be, all right, you now give a statement. Go sit down, so. Where's the handcuff?
That is if I have evidence.
If I have a suspicion. If I have a suspicion, people are. You should have some evidence or circumstantial.
Some reason.
Yes, but I don't wish her to be persecuted, you know.
Yeah.
What I want is to have clear principles regarding the application of justice. And you know from your vast experience, and I know from my practice as a lawyer and many other things, yes, that the average person in that situation would not be walking the street, would not have any chance to go abroad, yes? And we must be scrupulously fair in the administration of justice.
Item 1. That woman has a child for the policeman. That policewoman has a child for the policeman. Indication is that she has a relationship that she can see go to his house. You must have some question that she has to answer.
I would have thought so. But there you are. Let me
the child should not answer it. Yeah. You would say, listen, get an attorney. Because you have to answer.
Sure. My concern, you see, is about an advancing disorder in the society. That can be drawn out of the instance we just spoke about. The other one, Mr. Charles, that I want to speak to you about before we break is this gunfight in Montego Bay yesterday.
Oh, Lord.
Where you have two people. Now, think of the mood. These are two people who have been adjudged by the society, responsible enough to get a firearm license. You know I don't agree with all that. Yes? And this is proof positive. And they come out and they can have a gunfight at OK Corral. Only thing is
No. OK Mobe.
Sam Sharp Square. What a disgrace.
No. Please do not bring Sam in this.
But I mean there. Stand up and look on that. No, and then now somehow we believe that that it's okay for as many of us as want it and can pass some basic text to carry a firearm that we're likely to. Hello.
Yeah, but Ronnie, I am sure that
we want to disarm this society, not create the potential. We are behaving like Americans, right-wing Americans, and the Second Amendment.
Yeah, but you made that statement a while ago, and somebody had just called me to ask you a question. We cannot disarm a society when half of the society has illegally armed themselves, and we can disarm them.
And we can, and apparently we can do nothing about them.
If you can do nothing about those who have illegally armed themselves, why are you going to disarm those who illegally armed themselves?
No, that's not the answer. My view is that we should put all our efforts into finding out where the illegal arms are coming from and deal with that. That is what we should be doing.
Ronnie, we know long time.
You can't fight violence with violence, sir. It doesn't work.
Yeah, but
disorder is rampant in the society. We are lacking an ethic of respect, of responsibility for others, and of reverence for life. We complain and wring our hands and cry about the number of people being killed on the road. We spend hours in Parliament discussing regulations for the new Road Traffic Act that you presided over years ago. Yes. I was present. Yes. Okay,
and I'm glad I want to come back to that.
Right, and what the Minister of Justice tells us yesterday. So sorry he wouldn't agree to come on this program. That half of the tickets that are issued, are not honored.
I'm going to make a
statement. Nothing is done about training drivers.
I'm going to make a statement that they're going to vex with me about.
All right.
If I were a government.
Yeah.
If I were a minister,
right, sir.
If I headed a department, whether I'm in an elected position or not, I'm in governance, you can't tell me that I have 1 million tickets out there. And the people who don't pay, disrespect those who should have been collecting, still have them license, still have them car, and driving on the road, and raising hell that you must drop them taxes. That don't make sense to me.
So I want to raise with you now.
That don't make sense to me.
No, it makes no sense. So what we have done this morning is to look at 3 instances. This poor Miss Donaldson, who looks as if she's joining that Jasmine Dean. The issue of the unbridled use and threat of firearms, legal as well as illegal. The distinction was blurred yesterday. Yes. We have finding 4 dead bodies in parts of Tivoli Gardens. I'm making no aspersion against the
Industrial Terrace.
Right, Industrial Terrace. Yes. With their heads chopped off.
Yes.
And then we have at a different level, but pointing in the same direction, this carnage, unrelieved carnage on the road. Yes. This points to a fundamental disorder. Now, there are people in government, there are people outside of government who believe that if you just let the police take over the state, if you just abrogate the Charter of Rights, somehow you'll impose order. Well, if you want that, I suggest that you go near to Mr. Putin.
No, if you want that, then you're not going to be operating under our democratic system that we call here.
Governor Ayer and Mr. Putin are more like you, are more like that person. Yes?
That can't work here.
But at least we have strong agreement.
Give me 1 point, give me 1 minute to say something.
Please.
Because there's a lovely article written by a reverend, I forget his name, I'd love to get in contact with him, that the good roads were for privileged people.
Mm.
One of the things that was brought, and I think Patterson was Prime Minister then, highways are built by borrowed money. They are built by people who decide they will invest their money and take years to collect it. Right? So we say to them, but hold on now, it's not all of us can pay, the government said, for those who cannot pay, we will fix our road as an alternative. So only those who can pay to those who have invested is supposed to use the highway. So how you come now? You don't want to use your road, but you want the money to drop so that government will take my taxes to go and pay for that road. The answer is no.
Well, I can't rebut your economics at all. The argument is that there are certain that the deal might be renegotiated to reduce the cost, but by and large, by and large, the increase in toll rates, as you are saying, is purely a factor of the financial arrangements that were used to build the road.
That is correct. And let me add one point. For those who don't know, when I used to travel through Old Harbour to Clarendon, I lose 2 hours, put a value on that.
Look at that.
The air condition is on for 2 hours, put a value on that.
Yes.
The engine is running for 2 hours, put a value on that. Production.
Yeah, is suppressed.
If the toll rate go up twice, what it is going up, I prefer to pay that than to go through Old Harbour and spend 3 hours in a car.
If you have the cash in your pocket, and that's it. But I take your point there entirely. I have one more thing before we break and bring our guests in, and it is this. You were a minister of local government at one time.
That's correct.
Now look at it. The Prime Minister is saying that Jamaica is going to privatize garbage collection. I wonder if you would agree with me. Why don't we give local government the responsibility for the collection of garbage and have them supervised by the National Solid Waste Management?
Yeah, but what difference would it make?
A great deal of difference. The councillors are the ones closest to the community. That's why we have them.
Yes.
And they are the ones to whom the people turn for basic services.
Yes.
What could be more of a basic service than waste disposal? And what is the purpose of a municipal council, if not to take care of those basic things? Even the money that is collected for the land taxes in a given division is devoted to those 3 things, as you know: solid waste, fire prevention, and minor roads, is it?
Well, guess what you have just said?
Yeah.
You have just pointed to me that the councillors are responsible.
Right. But if I'm a councillor, sir, in Chapelton, and I see the garbage piling up, and I have no more authority than the ordinary citizen to call up the NSWME manager in Maypen and say, please send the truck. I have no authority. All I can do is beg. What kind of eunuch have you made me?
Are you telling me that the parish councils have no
They
authority?
don't have any money. They can't determine.
Hold on. The parish council is a major part of the Ministry of Local Government.
That's right.
The Minister of Local Government is in contact with the mayors and the administration.
Yes, sir, but they can't do anything.
Well, the Minister of Local Government has the money.
But where are you bringing the filter? I want these things to be handled. I believe in the principle of subsidiarity. No higher agency or agent should do what a lower agency can do.
But Ronnie, I was Minister of Local Government, and I would say to St. James, you have an allocation for garbage, and it is X.
Yeah, but that's not what happens now, sir.
Why?
What happens now is that the allocation goes to the National Solid Waste Management.
Yes.
And they devolve it as they think necessary all around.
And they are not and the parish council don't have any supervision over them?
What does the supervision mean? They get up at the monthly meeting and say the garbage isn't collected in Chapelton or in Almond Town. Yes? And the representative says, oh, we're trying, but we don't have trucks, we don't have enough money, and the garbage sit down on the road there. Cha!
And the Minister of Local Government says, I'm going to buy 10 more trucks to come in to take. So where is the leadership? Is it in the local government or in the parish council?
My view is that the proper locus for community services is in the local government authority.
Right. And the minister is in charge of local government authority.
I was so happy when in 2007, the Jamaica Labour Party government, headed by Bruce Golding, tried to reduce from the remit of the Ministry of Local Government and put more, remember it was a department in the Prime Minister's office, put more responsibility with the municipal councils, because then you have some accountability possible.
Could I take 10 seconds just to tell you?
And then we break.
I was Minister of Local Government. The Gleaner looked at me and said, your job is so good. We are going to make you Man of the Year. And they gave me a big thing.
Lovely. You deserve it.
Prime Minister of England came here and went back to Britain and said, Kingston is beautiful.
Boy.
No.
Oh, don't bring him now.
Hold, but let me tell you why I got big up. Because I went to Coronation Market. 2 days after the trucks came in, I had to put 20 and 30 trucks to remove what they brought in.
Really?
Coconut trash, banana trash, this, that,
everything.
that. I said, hold on. I said, hold on, full stop. All the local government, minister, police, please advise all trucks, when you take off the higgler food, put the trash back in the truck, carry back a country go mulch banana. So, hold on. They started it running.
Yeah, so why them stop?
I reduced the truck from like 20 trucks to 3 trucks.
Yes, sir.
Because every truck have space where they carry back all the bag and they carry it back. So
no.
I don't want to go any further because if I go any further, I'll embarrass.
You can't go any further.
I'll embarrass others.
What you did was right. But we have a habit in this country, as we end this argument, of giving up on solutions to problems which actually work, like yours. My goodness. So it is on the Public Eye on the Bridge 99 FM. We welcome Patricia Sutherland, President of the People's National Party Women's Movement. Patricia, morning.
Good morning, Ronnie, morning, Purnell.
Morning, Mr. Sutherland. How are you doing?
You hear these fervent arguments that we have here. We're glad to have you. Thank you so much. Could you, for our listeners here, and we have an audience, a hearty audience abroad, remind us, what is the history and purpose of the PNP Women's Movement?
Well, we are about to embark on our 49th year. So we'll be 50 years next year. And our history really is in standing up for the rights of women in Jamaica. We were instrumental in some landmark legislation, the formation of some landmark legislation around maternity leave, the equal pay for equal work,
status of children,
of the Bastardy Act, and many other areas of life that involve women. Our first president was instrumental in starting the Women's Center in Jamaica. Yeah,
was that Beverly Manley?
Beverly Manley Duncan was our first president.
Indeed. No, and I wanted to be grateful that you mentioned her, because her advocacy for women's interests, I remember in the late 60s and early 70s on radio, as well as in the political sphere, has been underreported or under-remembered, if you will. So you're carrying on in that tradition.
Yes, and standing on the shoulders not only of Beverly, but of Ambassador Marjorie Taylor,
indeed,
the Most Honorable Portia Simpson Miller, and Jennifer Edwards, our most recent past president. And so since then, we've also been very instrumental in looking at legislation to stop violence against women. And the Most Honorable Portia Simpson Miller, when she was Prime Minister, laid on the table of Parliament the bill for the Sexual Harassment Act, and it was finally passed. And now we are very interested in working out how we're going to make sure that that bill gets
implemented.
Yeah,
but can we stop right there for a moment? Because both Purnell and I remember. What year was it that the bill was first laid out, or the preparations for the bill? It must have been about 2014, 2015, Pat?
Correct, 2014, and I then think eventually laid in 2015.
Now look at that. It has, I'm not blaming anybody, but our listeners and ourselves must take to heart that something as significant as this took 7 years in order to come into being, and I don't know if it's enforced yet, or at least it's passed into law.
I believe were tabled, but the full implementation, I don't think it has enough support yet, and we need to now advocate for better support. We need public education around sexual harassment, because to redefine the relationship between men and women in our country if we're going to deal with this effectively.
But accepting that part, Mr. Charles, I'm anxious that we should say to our people, say to our friends in the legislature, that we have to be able to to pass and implement social legislation quicker than that?
Well,
why it takes so long, sir?
Pat, let me ask you, because I'm a little concerned.
Yeah.
You have mentioned women leaders who have fought for and are fighting for women, and they're all executive members of the People's National Party. Are there any other people who are in the JLP or in no party alone who have joined that force against women?
Oh, there are definitely many.
Well,
but I was asked the question about the history of the PNP women's movement. So that's why I went there, Sir Colonel. But there have been many other women who have been joining this fight. When in the 70s this fight was going on, it was an alliance of many organizations across the political divide. Right? So now we know of people like Judith Wedderburn, who is a strong advocate for gender rights in Jamaica and continues to do that kind of work. All of the names are Glenda Sims, who recently
passed on.
Strong
woman was Lady Bustamante, you know.
She was also a very strong woman in this regard.
Let me disturb you. And I had a discussion this morning on the tennis court with some of the top guys. One of the big problems that all of us face is the division between PNP and JLP when we go off to national projects like women. Follow me?
Yes.
Yes.
We want teams. This, the woman who we had a few weeks ago.
Yes.
We want people who are not bridled by Labour Party and PNP philosophy of politics down there. We want people who are Jamaicans. I mean, you stand up, you are speaking to Labour right, PNP, no right, no P. And when we get that, we can start. Because the problem is, why I'm in a business that PNP lead it. Why I'm in a business that them are Labour right.
So let me ask Patricia. So other than then, can you envision? Can you foresee? Would you see as desirable, if you will, a united women's movement, Patricia, that was concentrating on things like legislation, social practices?
I'm not sure. There is space for the United Women's Movement, but that doesn't negate the space for the women's movement.
No, it's a further step.
Right now, in advocacy for women's activities, there is a group that has been advocating for women's rights to choose, which goes across party divides, across party lines. Because that, as you say, anything that we do in Jamaica is for Jamaicans, and it's not about a political party. And I am sure that Pernell feels the same way. All of the work he has done as a member of the JLP for Jamaica, it's not for Labourites, it's for Jamaicans. All of the work we do as PNP is not for supporters of the PNP, it's for all of Jamaica. Well, we come to politics for Jamaica.
Well, that's nice, but it doesn't come across that way, does it?
No, it doesn't.
We have to change the narrative. We are able to be effective in what we do. It is our job to change that narrative. So even in the context of the right to choose, Judith Cuthbert most recently put it on the table as a private member's bill. We are in support of that bill, and we are lobbying for both sides of the House to support that bill. And we are lobbying together with members of the PNP, members of the JLP, and members of NOP, advocates for women's rights. We are all working together on that. So there are some things we'll work together on. There are some things we'll agree on. There are some things we will not agree on. And that's okay. But it doesn't mean that we are not working for all Jamaicans. And when we begin to change that narrative and to speak to the rather than only speaking to, I am carrying a party line. Yes, you carry a party line, but because you believe that party line is good for your country.
The country is, I think, agonizing now. Certainly, Pernell and I spent some time on it earlier, with the mysterious disappearance of Donnelly Donaldson, and the sense that the fact that she's a woman who was in certain relationships has affected the kind of way in which her predicament has been handled. Do you have a thought?
Well, so my thoughts on the Donnelly case in particular is that it reflects in our society the negative and poor relationships that we have between men and women, and how it is that we deal with issues of dispute of this nature. And for somebody, whomever it is, to choose because she's in some kind of relationship that somebody else might be in that relationship, don't know the full story, plenty of stories are out there, but to choose to, and for her to disappear, and it is alleged that people suspect that she would have been killed, but for that to occur because of a relationship is very unfortunate and is reflective of the inadequacies in our society and the things that we need to fix. What we need in Jamaica now is a social transformation. The relationship between men and women and how we respect each other in our country is really very far gone.
How do you teach? How do you revive that or create that sense of respect? Do you think?
I think we have to do it from many different angles, but I think a critical part of that, we have an army of police and we have an army of soldiers. We need an army of social workers. And each family actually needs to be assigned a social worker.
Each family needs to be assigned a social worker?
Yes, not one social worker to one family, but each family has one. So whether it be 1 to 30 or 1 to 40 or 1 to 50. But you have a contact to help you through your process. Because we need to help our people to understand how to relate to each other. There needs to be a retraining of our society. We did it before with 2 is better than too many. When we put
you made a point earlier, which I want to support you on. No. You are in Jamaica. Ronnie and myself are in Jamaica. And I can call PJ Patterson, I can call Scree Bertram. These are D.K. Duncan and Scree Bertram, me born same place, come out of the same uphill.
What's the point?
Right? I am saying she used the word united. When you go with a united front, it makes a difference. Whether you're JLP or PNP, this new generation would like to come up in a united force. It's not man alone bad, woman bad too. But you need that force that is going to bring them together so that this terrible thing against women can be removed.
But what is the principle behind it? Many people feel, Patricia, that, all right, that's nice. That's a nice principle for you older people and you people, passing people and politicians at a certain point want to say. But I'm looking out for myself. And if I choose to check 2 women at the same time and them men are fighting or worse, that's for them business.
Yes. Ronnie, that is not something that any of us, that is not representing men.
No, that's representing a whole group of people.
But don't represent
that
me.
Attitude. No, not at all. Let's hear what Patricia feels about that.
It represents some women, though.
So the perspective is, it's not about telling people if they can have 1 partner or 2 partners.
Oh.
But it's about helping people to understand if a situation should occur where you find yourself in a relationship that you don't like the terms of that relationship, how do you manage that? What is going to be your response? How do you choose a different response? Right now in Jamaica, we have a problem that our first call in responding to a situation is violence. That is our problem. Not that the situations occur, but what is our first call?
Well,
what do you think should be the first call?
How then do we deal with it? The other side of the problem that we have is that in Jamaica, we have set up a culture and we have set up a social structure that says a man is in charge of a woman and can do whatever he pleases with that woman, including beat that woman. So therefore, 25% of our women are beaten by men.
I hear a woman just bawl out, Patricia saying, "Oh, all time something you're talking about. No man can be in charge of no woman, no."
This is a 2019 statistics. That's not all time.
How do you, indeed,
Right now in Jamaica, 25% of our women are beaten by men.
We have Mr. Main, the Minister of State in the Ministry of National Security, saying that there's almost 100% increase in the number of Jamaicans who reported experiencing domestic abuse over the last 5 years.
Yes.
That's very worrisome.
Not women alone, you know.
No.
Men too.
Okay, but
so that's why
majority women, and whether it's women or men, it's equally bad.
But the bigger point is that it is our relationship between men and women and the way we manage disputes and disagreements within our relationships is the problem. And so we need to help people. We need programs to help people to understand. We have conflict resolution. We have the Dispute Resolution Foundation. But this training needs to reach to the communities, which is why I say we need the army of social workers to help our families to manage.
What is the plan of the People's National Party or any other grouping in this regard? The People's National Party is founded on community groups.
Yes.
Can they be mobilized, equipped to do this, to be guidance, give guidance, to watch out, to help, to refer in circumstances like this? That seems to me a very useful prospect.
It is a useful prospect, but you must remember that the majority of Jamaica right now is in this situation. It is not simply it's not a small percentage of Jamaica that is having the challenge of how to organize themselves and how to relate to each other within communities. We need an intervention, a transformational intervention to make the change. When we look at even yesterday, the number of killings, a fireman and an elderly man got into a gunfight in the middle of Montego Square. You understand?
Yeah.
This is a real problem.
Yeah.
This is not a police problem.
Yeah.
This is a societal problem.
So when we come back, Mrs. Sutherland, from this break, I'd like to hear you and, of course, Pernell. Can we discuss how do we do this transformation, and what is the role of the political process and political factors in bringing this about? Patricia Sutherland is president of the PNP's Women's Movement. We're broadcasting to Jamaica and to the world on the Bridge 99 FM. This is the Public Eye with the Open Mind. We soon come. Canvassing some deep thoughts, some extremely important considerations for the future of our society. Talking with Patricia Sutherland, the president of the People's National Party Women's Movement. Pernell Charles and myself on the Public Eye. This is a Bridge 99 to the world. Patricia Sutherland, what is the modality? What suggestions can you make for this far-reaching transformation of which you speak?
So from my perspective, and Ronnie, you would have known when we worked on Unite for Change, that had some of the base of it. And inside of that, you had the SWP base, the school-wide positive behavior. But I think we need to go deeper and wider than that. So from my perspective, this army of social workers, probably somewhere around 5,000 social workers for the whole country, would work from 2 to 10 on a daily basis, for example. They'd start in a school, after school between 2 and 6, and stay at school with the children, because our children really have no protection at home when their parents are at work in the afternoons. And we would then be able to have more effective extracurricular activities and more effective conversations with our children, where we can then begin to speak to them about healthy lifestyles, healthy families, ways to resolve issues between themselves and be able to observe themselves working together with each other and building a different kind. So a curriculum, quote unquote curriculum, would have to be designed for this, but it is not beyond us. There's another thing that I have done through the JMB, Joan Duncan Foundation, the Conversations for Greatness, which allows you then to begin to see yourself differently. Because at the core of all of this, when we say, I heard Everybody Have Rights, the song just before this, in the break. A big part of the issue with Jamaicans is that everybody is seeking respect. And several things they deem to be disrespectful, trampling on their rights, then they react badly to it. A man step on your toe, intentional or not, then you react badly to it. Then how do you then begin to reinterpret these activities to say that you are enough, you can be a confident person, you have what it takes to be a positive individual contributing to your society, and then you work with your children there. Then these same social workers go into specific communities and they work with the parents. You pair them as much as possible so there's continuity. But you make this work happen, and then you use organizations like the Dispute Resolution Foundation, the Women's Center, the conflict resolution, right? The PMI where necessary, where gangs are already infiltrating in certain communities, because it's not going to be easy work. In Colombia, where they have done social intervention, what they say is whatever intervention you are doing within a community must have a minimum commitment of 10 years, because it will take at least 10 years to transform a generation.
Yeah. I'm doing some quick math. Pernell, if 5,000 social workers, put them at a minimum of $2 million, probably more a year when you add up everything, you're talking about 10 billion. And Patricia is understandably remembering the Colombian example. You're talking about 10 years. You're talking about an investment of about $100 billion. Is it possible, first of all? Is it worth it?
Ronnie, let me just give you a quick one. I was Minister of Labour and Social Security. Women came in to complain to me that them don't hear from their husband, from them gone away. Them not send nothing for the picnic them. I said, what? I said to the Permanent Secretary, let us get some women together, women and men, in a social worker program to visit the homes of all of these women whose husbands are abroad. Within a month, we had a whole heap. We have somebody in Canada who is an officer who go to the camp, a liaison officer. I say, you tell Mr. Brown, tell Mr. Clark, tell Mr. Charles, tell Mr. Say, he must send some money for him picnic. Ronnie, within 3 months, men are calling me and say, Mr. Charles, I'm glad you remind me, you know. Women are calling me and say, Mr. Charles, I'm glad you sent to them and see things have changed.
But that's validating what Patricia is suggesting, that with that kind of targeted, organized intervention that you make, it can have results. You're following, Patricia?
Yes.
I'm very much in it, and I'm very happy he said that.
But let me go, because I'm coming to you.
Of success in this area.
I'm coming to you, Pat. I am not denouncing Pat's program. What I am saying, it has to be expanded. Because when you call it PNP Women Movement, rather than Women Movement for Social Justice or something like that, it stopped the labor right from going up there. For them saying, I go for PNP. So, you understand? You have to also realize the name alone creates a problem.
All right, I follow your point there. That involves dismantling many elements of a political culture, which you and I think should happen.
It's a long time. Yes. And don't leave out Peter Phillips.
No, clearly.
Oh, okay.
No, and many others. Patricia.
So let me ask a question on that note.
Yes.
So, Pernell and Ronnie, you think we need to dismantle JLP and PNP and have no parties?
No, my view is that there has to be a different constitutional basis on which power is shared. Because this winner-take-all thing it creates an indelible and irreparable divide.
Pat, you'll be very happy.
I will agree with that. I will agree with that.
Let me add one quick one to that.
Yes.
After every election, two warring forces set aground. The winner and the loser. There's nothing to unite them. And if you try to unite those who are on the losing side, they say, join them, can't join you. If the other side says, so we around this table are having a problem that the present organization of PNP and JLP separate the people in two bands of political organizations, not going to solve the problem.
No, but I would like to think that while you're perfectly correct in those fundamental points, what I'm trying to glean from Patricia Sutherland, always love an interview that ends up with something practical, that there is obviously a need for intentional, sustained intervention by people who can help those who in the normal course of events may have disputes and violent responses. And if it's going to take $10 billion a year to do it, we need to find out how we're going to manage it, how we're going to train these people, how we're going to, what is the philosophy behind the intervention that we're making.
Good word. Eh? What's the philosophy behind the organization?
Yeah. Sure.
Well, no, this is not a PNP women's movement, social workers, It's a social workers for
clearly, it's a nationalist thing.
Yes. A program.
Yeah.
So the idea, though, it would be that we have SDC, which has several social workers in there already. So I'm not even sure the complement of SDC, but that would make up a good part of it. So it's not even all brand new, but it is repurposing and being very specific about the objectives of this group of workers. Because it's not only to deal with the issues of dispute resolutions, etc., but also to connect people into the systems that are available to help them. There are many people who are suffering, and when you suffer and you get up in the morning and you only have bread and water to give your children, and you're not sure how you're going to give them dinner when they come home, a significant level of anger boil up inside of you.
No, but of course, and therefore I'm asking for the support of mothers, women, in general, of any or no political persuasion, whatever religious affiliation, to please be strong right now. This is the 20th of July, back to school coming up, for proper school feeding. Because the cost of living has gone up. I can't imagine a woman's concern, Patricia Sutherland, that is more fundamental than the feeding of her children.
And freedom.
Our education system should provide food for our children, because we are a poor country and our people cannot feed our children. So if we are going to transform our country so that our children no longer need to be fed at school, we to feed them now.
Yes, well, this is it. And
not just with a little bit of lunch, not just with a piece of
thank you very much, Ma'am.
And I see your schoolmate, Mr. Tate. Your schoolmate, the Minister of Finance, has just made an announcement that for part students, they are going to increase. For students who are unable to go to school.
No, and I bless him for that. Yes. The problem is that the amount of increase is welcome, but it is not adequate.
Ronnie, make we start somewhere, man.
Of course.
We could start somewhere.
No, of course.
But we're talking about what is required to transform.
And what I'm anxious about is at least to get breakfast.
That's correct. Our children in Jamaica need to know that we value them. Yes. Right now, as a child in Jamaica, my experience would be as a typical child in Jamaica. Not rich children don't have this problem. But the typical child in Jamaica get up in the morning, get some hot water and some bread for breakfast, or maybe them get some mint tea, because mint growing in the backyard.
Why you criticizing my breakfast?
All right. I'm glad you're drinking mint tea.
You see where they?
But by choice.
Yes.
They get up and they go into the most packed taxi.
Yeah.
Right? When they wake up in the morning, mother quarrel with them because they're tired, because they never really eat the night before. Yeah. And they're slow. Yeah. When they get into the taxi, it's 15 of them squeeze up in the taxi, who in the trunk, who is there. And if you're a little girl, you are put it on the lap of a little boy who begin to feel you up. By the time you reach the school, you're crushed. And the first thing the teacher said to you, no matter how you come at school, look so. That's the experience that our children are living.
True.
We need to change it so our children feel valued.
So I have a question for you before we part at midday.
And we need to look at social workers.
Yeah. Do you think that these achievements and these problems that you have outlined so correctly and well, do you think they can be achieved for the majority or all of our people within the existing system of political economy?
I believe we can if we choose to. I believe we can.
Really?
Oh, Pat.
Come on. Is there anything in our 60 years of independence that would give you that confidence? where inequality and more poverty has become the norm, irrespective of which, not that there haven't been improvements, but irrespective of all of that. I'm really wondering whether you can persuade us.
Do you think there's a? Do you think there's a? Do you
There
think
was a time. Go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. Do you think there's a resolution coming in Parliament to name 5 members of the opposition, 5 members of the PNP, and they are going to call themselves a name that represents a non-partisan grouping island-wide that is going to go to the university and get some students, go to the high schools, get some students, go to the community, get some students, and they are going to lead out in JLP, PNP, and NOP. When you get that, call me and Ronnie. We're ready to come with you.
No.
I don't know about that resolution. However, going past that resolution, I just want to remind you that there have been social transformations in our country. So not because we need a social transformation now doesn't mean things didn't happen before. When we got to a stage where first 2,000 people could go to high school with honor, norm, and manly, and then we got to the stage where we got free education for everybody, those were transformative. When we got our maternity leave, when we got rid of the Bastardy Act, those things were transformative. When we created an NHT, those things were transformative. When we created a heart program, those things were transformative. Now we are at a different stage. Different things need to be transformed. It is not beyond us. We need to choose.
Well, I hope I certainly will do.
That was a transformative action when we did our economic reform program. Now we are all proud of it together.
Listen to this.
Last one for you.
I agree with you. You have left out one of the most important one. And I could be very political and saying the national insurance
scheme.
The national insurance scheme that had measurable quantity of people on the road saying, don't go in it, left it. It is SIN, not NIS. In other words, me and Ronnie back with that. We done with that. Yes. That sort of approach is not going to get us where we want.
I think the point is taken, but the principles are that Patricia stated.
No, because if I was going down that road, I wouldn't want to mention Hart.
No, because I understand. Hart was Mr. Siaga's thought.
I was mentioning every transformative action.
Clearly not.
And it definitely is.
Yes. Well, I think the kernel of the transformative step needed, particularly at this time, in respect of school feeding, in respect of community enablement.
School, your big thing.
School is beyond
for
doubt.
The children, that they can come up like you, and not like those who are skanking and scamping and doing this.
This is it, but they're being encouraged otherwise. But never mind. Patricia Sutherland, President of the PNP Women's Movement, thanks for a very progressive conversation. All the best to you.
Thank you for having me. I'm willing to come back anytime and have this conversation.
We will. We will invite.
What possibly it becomes.
Good. Thanks for that. This is the Public Eye on the Bridge, 99 FM. Time for the break. When we come back, it's a Global Connection with Irwine Clare, and Mark Golding is a guest. You won't get this level and breadth of conversation on public issues, on philosophical matters to do with our nation, the Jamaican nation, here and abroad, elsewhere than on the Bridge 99 FM. This is the Public Eye. Ronald Thwaites and Pernell Charles are here. Joining the Global Connection with our friend Irwine Clare on Irie Jam Radio in the tri-state arena of the United States. Irwine Clare, are you there?
Of course we're here. And let me share with you that you're being joined by not only by myself, but my co-host. So unfortunately, he's not in studio, but via technology, he's part of the presentation today. And that's the Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Mark Golding.
Oh?
Yes, hi, Ronnie.
Greetings, Mark.
Hi, Pernell.
Yes.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
Belated happy birthday to you and to Sandra.
Thank you.
The
very much.
The Goldings have had birthdays while they're touring, I gather.
Both of them have birthdays.
That's right.
That's nice.
That's true. So it's been a working birthday thing for us, but it's been good.
That's
nice
good.
to be with you.
Right. Thank you. Irwine, you want to start?
Yeah, I want to start because it's very hot here today, Ronnie and Pernell. I mean, I say hot, we prepared for the leader of the opposition. We made sure it would be a very, very hot day, and we got it answered. So it's
global warming is at play.
Yeah. But just to put it in perspective for our listeners, the leader of the opposition is on a diaspora tour. New York is the final leg. New York takes it home. He started in Florida, then on to Georgia, Washington last evening, and in New York for the next 3 days or so. So it's part of the global tour as part of initiating connections with the diaspora. And this year, Jamaica celebrates its 60th anniversary of independence. And this is good. But it bodes well because it's important that our democracy is demonstrative as being alive and well.
But then that means, Mark Golding, that you have a particular perspective about Jamaicans in the diaspora, their significance that would make you undertake this venture. Could you explain what that is? How do you see the diaspora and ourselves relating?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think Jamaica is more than just a geographic construct, an island in the Caribbean Sea, but we are really a family of persons who share a common heritage, common culture, and a common approach and vibe towards life. And, much of our family reside outside of Jamaica, the island, and they have so much to offer. They are very committed to national development. They want to see Jamaica progress. They have a heart for those at home who are less fortunate, and help tremendously, as you know, not through remittances, of course, which is a huge part of our economy in terms of our foreign exchange supplies, but also our social welfare and social support. But more than that, they have technical skills, they have entrepreneurial abilities, they have experience in how things are done in first world conditions, and Jamaica needs that. That's an asset that we need to fully engage with. So we have really been trying to reach out to persons here. We have supporters here, as you know, and we're reconnecting with them and with others who are not necessarily politically minded, but are Jamaica-minded. And so that's really what this has been about, just so we can hear from them and they can hear from us. They can meet some of our leadership, familiarize themselves with us, and kind of get a sense of what we stand for and how we're approaching our task. So it's been good. It's been good, Ronnie. The response has been very positive. I think they've really appreciated the visit. They're happy to see and hear from us. And I think they're happy to have the rekindling of the flame of political life in Jamaica as well, because that's been part of what we've been doing. So it's been
Mark,
partly a 60 thing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Let me shout one at you.
Yeah.
You have been reported as inviting the diaspora to join the PNP. And what does that mean? I'm going to give you that political unity that Ronnie and myself exhibit when we talk to diaspora people about Jamaica?
I don't know what you're referring to there, Pernell. We have had functions which are part of the Jamaica 60 Jubilee celebrations, and those have been really national events, not PNP events. And then we've had some private meetings with supporters of the party, and where we've discussed party business and party issues. So the two things have been quite separate.
Okay. No. I'm talking. Well, maybe the report.
What are people telling you, Mark Golding? What concerns about their engagement with Jamaica?
Yeah. They have serious concerns around issues to do with healthcare in the country, crime and violence in the country. They're also concerned about those who are practically engaged in providing support to Jamaica have concerns about some of the bureaucratic hurdles that they have to surpass and the costs involved in actually rendering that assistance. Yeah. So those are some of the issues that they're also interested in, structures that will enable them to participate at different levels, including at the parliamentary levels. There's an interest in the expansion of the Senate to accommodate diaspora representation, which has been discussed for some time, but nothing has actually been done about. And even the idea of, there being a constituency that represents the diaspora, as is done, I think, in some other countries. Yes. So they have a wide range of interests, but those are some of the key ones that we've been discussing. Obviously, crime is a huge concern, and so is healthcare for the Jamaicans, especially those Jamaicans who are thinking of returning. Yeah. You know, they want to know where those things are heading, and and I fully understand that.
Ronnie, one of the situations is that we have had politicians, and Mark is not the first. Our leaders have come through to the diaspora, and in fairness, have all indicated the importance of the diaspora and this whole Jamaica going forward. The question now lies is that what new is on the table? We know how important the diaspora is, and I'd say to Mark Golden as leader of opposition, what new would you bring to the table, sir, as it relates to re-engaging? Because we have to step our game up. We cannot just keep saying that the diaspora is important, and these are the roles that we put critical points in. What would you bring? What difference do you bring to the table, sir, as far as the new engagement going forward?
Well, we had some, I would say, more technical meetings with various stakeholder groups that were very useful in identifying specific issues of concern. So we met with members of the judiciary in Florida who are Jamaican or have Jamaican connections. We met with members of the bar there. We met with elected representatives of the people in Florida. We met with persons involved in healthcare, persons involved with education, persons who have philanthropic activities and NGOs that support that. And each of those meetings, we got sort of into the weeds and got granular and got into the details of what are the issues that they are concerned about and what they think would be important from a policy perspective to enable them to move forward. And so we have a commitment to follow up on those and to actually extend those discussions further so that we can be part of formulating policy and trying to assist in moving those matters forward. You may have heard that our party also adopted a resolution at the last NEC, National Executive Council, to extend an open membership to Jamaicans who are living outside of Jamaica. So being on the voters list in Jamaica is no longer a requirement to be becoming a member of the party. And so that was of interest as well to our supporters here. So these are some of the things that are new and we're bringing to the table. And of course, I would like to see some of the constitutional issues around representation move forward, because I think that's the right thing to do, given that what I've said already about Jamaica really being a family. But those require bipartisan support. And, I'm not sure exactly what the government's position is on them currently.
Well, let me throw one at you. Mr. Brown, who lives in America, becomes an American, has an American citizenship. He's also a Jamaican citizenship. Would you support that he's able, if he gets in Jamaica and get registered, that he's able to run in Jamaica, being an American citizen and a Jamaican citizenship? Is the PNP now ready to support that?
The Constitution is an anachronism in how it approaches that matter. Currently, as you know, Commonwealth citizens who have lived in Jamaica for I think at least a year before nomination day are eligible to be candidates and so on. But foreign nationals, which would include Americans, are not. And I think given the realities of what has happened since independence and the huge number of Jamaicans living in North America and the United States in particular, I think it's time to recast those arrangements, and certainly not to discriminate against, where most Jamaicans happen to live outside of Jamaica.
Does all that you have just said, does that mean that a resolution coming to Parliament?
No, but stop there. I have to stop you. Yes. I brought that resolution to Parliament.
I should say, bring it back then.
4 years ago.
I should say, bring it back. And I did not accommodate it.
You, the speaker, did not accommodate it.
Yes. and I have now learned. All right. I have now learned. And big enough to say. Yes. Big enough to say. Right?
Listen.
An American.
Mark Golding is a lawyer, and there's a plea called confession and avoidance,
But hold on. Yeah.
I am big enough to say that a Jamaican who go to New York becomes an American citizen and come back to Jamaica and want to hold his American citizenship in Jamaica should not be prevented by any constitutional measure from running. That's just rubbish.
I agree. Coming up to the break, and especially if that child also represent Jamaica on the reggae girls too. I agree with you. But we have to take a break right now. Ronnie, go ahead.
Soon come.
Okay.
It's soon come.
This is the Global Connection on the Bridge 99 FM and Irie Jam in New York. Irwine Clare, Pernell Charles, and myself talking with Mark Golding, leader of the opposition. Are you all there?
Yes, we are, Ronnie. And just to remind our listeners again, the 93.5 here in New York, our co-host, not in studio with us, but via the whole space of the telephone, is leader of the opposition, Mark Golding, who is on a diaspora trip. And just to let our listeners know that tomorrow evening at the Medgar Evers College, there in Brooklyn, Mr. Golding will be addressing the community. He's part of Medgar Evers Outreach. In this year, Jamaica celebrates its 60th anniversary. The community are indeed invited to come out and attend. That's Medgar Evers College at the Edison O. Jackson Auditorium at 6 p.m. And you'll need to walk with your COVID, indicating that you have done your COVID tests and all that. Because let's remind our listeners, COVID-19 is still on, so we must be mindful of that. And we're back to you, Ronnie.
Mark Golding, the people of Jamaica, along with people all over the world, but we're talking about Jamaicans now, are having a hard time. The cost of living is increasing. There's no way we're keeping pace with inflation, and the prospects don't look good. This morning, the Russians said that they have broad ambitions in Ukraine, which is going to clog up the wheat and the fuel and all the things that we have little control over. The impression is given that the JLP government, the Holness administration, is holding a tight financial line but doing the best in terms of social relief that they can, whereas the PNP is a spendthrift party. Is that a correct description? Would you like to comment on that?
No, that's definitely a mischaracterization of the truth. It was the PNP that took the public debt from 147% of GDP in 2013 down to 115% by the end of our 4 years in office when we were last in office. We were the ones who put the fiscal rules into the Financial Administration and Audit Act. So we are fully committed to the debt reduction process and to fiscal sustainability. And for anybody to suggest otherwise is just misleading. But the reality is that this year we're going through a particular type of crisis where inflation has been raging in the aftermath of the pandemic of 2 years and the disruption to the supply chain and the disruption to manufacturing key sources of goods. And of course now with the geopolitical situation in Eastern Europe with Ukraine and Russia being at war, that has had a huge impact also on oil and gas prices and also supplies of grains, wheat, corn, agricultural chemicals and fertilizer, and all that is spilling through into the prices locally. And we feel that the government should be doing more to cushion the crisis. We're saying just slow down the pace of debt reduction this year to afford some additional resources to tide the country through this without too much disruption and dislocation to the social fabric of the country. The debt to GDP ratio at the beginning of the fiscal year was about 97% of GDP. It's been programmed by the end of the fiscal year to be down in the high 80s. And we've just said, look, let's reduce the pace of reduction this year by 2% and release $40 billion to strengthen the NIS pension amounts that elderly people have to survive on. Their incomes are fixed. Prices have gone through the roof. They're eating less. 2 million Jamaicans are not eating properly. That's what the recent study shows, out of 3 million. And, it's just a situation which is getting worse and worse every day. So we feel that we're listening to the people and we're hearing the cries of the people, and we feel the government should respond. They've done something, but it's minuscule. It's 0.2% of GDP is what the latest announcements by the finance minister have been.
Mark,
so, that is, we feel.
Let me disturb and ask you a question. Honestly, you believe that the people of Jamaica are eating worse today than they were years ago, either under PNP or JLP?
is not. But you're aware of the
studies show that that 2 million Jamaicans are not eating what they should be eating. Some of them are not eating.
Does that mean that these 2 million people were eating better? Does that mean that at a time they were eating better than they're eating now?
No, but why you ask that question?
I'll come into it.
I'm not trying to draw comparisons.
You know why I'm concerned?
I'm saying that's the situation that we're in now. And the truth is...
One minute. I am concerned, and I like the outline you made about the international situation. The grains here, the food there, the train there, the this there.
Yeah.
And yet when we come back, we say, is the JLP cause it?
No, man.
You see, that bothers me. I said to Ronnie, I expect, I would love to see you come back and say to Jamaica, look here, I'm taking this to Parliament, and the government of Jamaica and the opposition, the leader of the JLP and the leader of the PNP is going to work together to put this together. And if you put it and they disagree, me and Ronnie there, they back you up. Right? You come with a program of uniting the nation. Stop these 2 million people from suffering. Do better. Put it not that political way, because you're also a finance man. Everybody know you're a big financier, so you must know the money situation. Put it to us and make us carry it for you.
But gentlemen.
Well, I have, and I'm continuing to suggest it. But thus far, it has not been embraced. Right. And I will continue to suggest it because I believe it's important. There's another aspect of it, which is the taxes on fuel. Where the budget for this year was constructed on an assumption of oil $67.50 per barrel.
Yes.
And there's an ad valorem tax on fuel, which the government collects based on the price at which Petrojam sells petroleum products. And with oil having been, for much of this fiscal year so far, in excess of $100 per barrel, there's been a windfall of collections there, and I've suggested they should cap that. Not only have I suggested it, I've actually drafted the order and delivered it to the Minister of Finance's office to cap it at the $67.50 US per barrel. But that, again, has not fell on deaf ears. They have not responded to that. Ronnie, I just want to mention that I'm not alone here. I have with me Lisa Hanna, Dr. Angela Brown-Burke, and Dr. Dayton Campbell. So if you would like to hear from them, they're all here as well.
Well, I think we would. Go ahead, Irwine.
Hold on, yeah, because we have to kind of draw some parallels here, because the whole situation about how people are eating now as opposed to then, we have similarities here in this country as well. So let's not believe that Jamaica is in isolation in this. I think, however, we have to find a collective approach to resolving this, and I'm not into blaming who did what or draw a line in the sand to say during that time it was better. The fact is, the realities are, people are suffering, people have challenges, and how do we deal with it going forward? That's the perspective the diaspora looks at things in Jamaica. So I want to say to you gentlemen that we don't look at it from a partisan perspective. We look at it as to how as a people we can work together to resolve that. And that's why conversations like these take place on this platform. You have the Pernell Childs of the world, the Ronnie Twaits of the world, because they come from parties that have been involved in the process. But if we can collectively put our mindsets together, because there's a general feeling that there is this our way or no way. We don't get the feeling, Mr. Charles, that there is this kind of cooperative approach to resolving issues in Jamaica.
Irwine, I want to raise the issue of the prospects of more political committee further on in the interview. If Mark is able, I'd love to ask Lisa about the prospects, as she might see it as a foreign affairs spokesperson, regarding the supplies of oil. Lisa, are you there?
I'm here. How are you doing?
Hi, fine, thanks. Welcome to the Public Eye. Pernell and I are here. Good
old Pernell to the side. Is Pernell there too?
Listen to me. If you ever want to see
if you ever miss me in Parliament.
Don't describe how I lively up when I hear her voice.
if a black man could blush, he's beaming, and he does miss you in Parliament. Lisa Hannah, thanks for joining us.
Good.
One of the fine, thanks.
Thank you.
One of the concerns that we have here, Mark mentioned what everybody knows is the exorbitant price of petroleum products. And it's a foreign relations issue, because we were assisted in times past by Petrocarib. That's the arrangement we had for our diaspora listeners with Venezuela, which were highly concessionary. I've never understood how they were able to afford it, but they did. And now we need it more than ever, but we seem to have made some foreign policy decisions that might prevent us from reestablishing that close relationship. Tell us that story. What's your perspective on it?
Well, from 2017, when the government decided to announce its expropriation of the shares in PDVSA, it really set Petrojam. It really set a bad precedent for the relationship with Venezuela. And then subsequently, the vote at the OAS and how Jamaica positioned itself with a friend for many, many years, because not only was the Petrocarib agreement something that we had established with Venezuela, but from way before with the San Jose Accord and the building of houses in Portmore. I mean, going as far back as Simon Bolivar with the letters of starting just that revolution in South America to free people. So we, on this side, saw it as an aggressive move to not only marginalize, but certainly obliterate a friendship that had saved us from the brink of complete economic catastrophe at a time when we needed to pay for oil and energy. Now, with the sanctions on Venezuela, Jamaica needs to have some courageous leadership in making sure that, like the OECS, we establish a new arrangement, and that is going to take guts, it's going to take gumption, it's going to take grit, and it's going to take foresight. Because we can't allow the might rule that says, well, we're not going to do business with Venezuela to be our foreign policy dictate. We've always been friends of all and enemies of none. And what we're finding now is that we need these kinds of arrangements with what is happening, certainly with the fallout with Russia and barrels of oil. You notice that President Biden has gone to Saudi Arabia and trying to fix those kinds of relationships with the Middle East. We're not seeing the kind of same overtures with Venezuela. We would like to see those. And I think Jamaica, with our long-standing relationship with Venezuela, can be a good interlocutor, a good mediator.
Let me ask
and they can call the PNP if they want.
Let me disturb and ask you, do you think that the government of Jamaica has a right to make an assessment of the situation between the United States, Venezuela, and others, and take as a position in Jamaica's interest? Do you think that is a correct position?
If they have the right to?
Well, I think
do you think that is a position? If I were Prime Minister, that I would look at the present situation between the United States, Venezuela, one has oil, one has diaspora. Go ahead.
You don't have to take a position of what the United States relationship is in Venezuela. I think you have to take a position of what your relationship with the Jamaican people and where you want your own country to go. That is why in the 1970s, Michael Manley said, we're going to trade with Cuba. We're going to do business with China. Those were decisions that were detrimental then, even against Western philosophies and ideologies. So while you can use the United States as a goalpost and a standard to say whether or not you want to go in that direction, ultimately it is your own people that count.
That's correct.
And I think we need to right now decide whether or not we want Jamaica to sink or swim.
But
and
I
one
agree,
of the ways that we're going to
I agree
swim,
with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
I have
but
a question.
What I don't agree with is how you would believe that Angeloni should act.
No, but you never
or
said anything
otherwise.
about that.
You know?
The question is...
But I never said that, Pernell.
That's it. When you said the government.
Well,
All right.
I never said so.
When you said the government of Jamaica has a right and is responsible to do that.
No, but it is.
In the interest of all Jamaica.
No, but the point of the matter is the gas price is
But
too,
the government
too high.
does have a right.
The gas
do
price
that.
is $6
The government has a right to lead
is
in
$6
the
US
interest
dollars
of
a gallon in America too.
Yeah, but that we can't pay what they can pay, sir. That's the point.
Listen,
But question for you, Lisa.
Right.
Does the rapprochement with Venezuela that I think we feel is it's appropriate, does that mean supporting the Maduro government and some of its internal political positions which have bad repute?
But we don't. Well, as you know, we don't get involved in people's internal political affairs.
Yeah.
The United States continues to recognize Guaido as a leader. There is a sitting president there. What the PNP needs to, certainly a visionary clip there. What the government needs to do at this point is try to identify what is the best means and approach to make the overtures to the Venezuelan government and get a new agreement. It would be in the best interest.
You're speaking on my behalf. You're speaking on my behalf.
Well, that's wonderful.
And I am
Parallel
proud of
agreeing
that.
with you.
Yes.
Lisa, thanks so much. Anxious to hear
welcome.
your views. Good. Erwin, you were going to say?
Yes. In fact, we're getting ready to come.
Angela and for Dayton too, but take your time.
Yeah, but tell you
Well,
what.
Dayton is rearing.
Well, hold on. Let me just haul this back into the diaspora here because you guys have them down in Jamaica every day. We have them here in New York. So I'm going to haul it back to our parochial issues.
That's
correct. And just to let you know that we come up on a break and we're going to be breaking off from International Link shortly. But just to let you know again, and I need to reiterate this, that when Mark Golding, the leader of the opposition, speaks tomorrow evening at the Medgar Evers College, it's under it's being convened by Medgar Evers Caribbean Research Center, and the subject matter is the Caribbean diaspora's influence on the United States as Jamaica celebrates its 60th year of independence. So I want us to all understand that this is not a partisan presentation. This is a presentation representing Jamaica. So all persons are invited to attend. It's going to be at 1638 Bedford Avenue at the Medgar Evers Auditorium. It's very important for that to be stated because at this particular time it is part of our celebration, gentlemen, because Jamaica's 68 is very instrumentally important to us, because let's not forget that the whole movement towards self-government in Jamaica started in the village of Harlem by the Jamaica Progressive League, and I know that Pernell is quite familiar with that.
Yeah, because you always see me at the meeting.
You remember.
You want to take the break?
Yes. But again, Ron, when we take this break, I don't know if we'll be coming back to you guys in Jamaica because we're going off to some parochial issues here. So you may want to make your closing comments now.
No, that's fine. We're just grateful for the connectivity, and we, like you, hope that all of us will be able to see the pursuit of legitimate political party issues as being more and more connected with national interests, and therefore taking off some of the rough edges of division that have unfortunately weakened us in the past. That's what Pernell and I stand for.
Indeed.
Thanks
so
much.
That's what we appreciate. All the best.
Everyone,
until next week. All the best.
Good.
Sure.
And stay safe, all of you, please.
Yes. This is the Public Eye on the Bridge 99 FM. We just concluded that connection with Irie Jam and had words with Mark Golding, the leader of the opposition, and Lisa Hanna, the opposition spokesman on foreign affairs. Two things I wanted to put to you.
Yes.
First of all, to get your general impression of that connection, of what they said. And secondly, to ask you, Lisa Hanna was Mark Golding's opponent for the leadership of the PNP.
Yes.
Mark Golding brought her on the program with us.
Yes.
Is that a good thing? What does it say?
Yes, very sensible. I tell you why. You could say the same thing about Adi Shah and Jehonis.
Yeah.
There's bitter war down there.
Yeah.
Bitter. We don't even hear about the war.
Yeah.
So at least we're understanding that the politics is a different story.
Yeah.
Right? You can't work without that.
No.
You can't work. If you are not together in there, how are you going to be together in the country?
Well, this is it. So that's a good sign. The approach that Golding spoke of, where he is speaking to the diaspora, but from what he says, he's making no frontal onslaught on government, on this government. Although there are differences which he speaks of in terms of the use of the fuel tax and generally putting more money at the service of the people. Is that a mature position? Is that a position you could sit down and negotiate?
Well, our man who have invited him must have told him, so listen, you have a whole heap of labor right here. Whole heap of labor right, so be careful how you talk. Well, when you're in a situation like that in America, where Jamaicans are, they are less painted with the PNP and the JLP situation.
Yes.
And so you have to walk a line that is straighter than it used to be.
But hear me now. If I were, what a thought I'm going to put, if I were the leader of the JLP and the leader of the PNP put forward those positions, yes, regarding the capping of the fuel tax, regarding using 2% of GDP to postpone some debt payment, but to ease the predicament of the people, the 2 million who are said to be eating inadequately, I would want to sit down with him and say, look, come now, master, come we negotiate something. I'm going to tell you what our perception of the fiscal situation is. I am going to heed you about the oil and see if we can have a common position regarding, say, return to Venezuela, make up with them. Yes? There is so much room, Colonel Charles, for negotiation, for coming together on that. And then we come to the people and we say, Routed, we're going to ease this thing. Flour we can't hold flour, but we can hold rice.
Ronnie, let me throw one at you.
Yeah.
Because I don't need to say it. I don't want Mark think I'm attacking him.
Yeah.
Because when I hear him declaring that he's a socialist, I said, you didn't read whether it was propaganda or not, that Michael Mann said socialism done so.
That was a bad statement on Michael's part. I am a socialist.
Yeah, but hold on. They used to call me socialist
of
too.
Course, I don't know what you're talking about.
Because I'm asking you, what is a socialist different from a man with a social conscience? A man who believes in his nation and want to work for all his people.
All his people.
That is Colonel Charles.
Yes.
When I told you I walked into Chapelton, and I saw this man 6 foot tall, coming a little boy, looked like he was about 10 years. He walks up to me, thinking, man, going to thump me, man, look vexed. So I said, what can I do for you, sir? He turns to the boy and said, shake him on, boy. Shake him on, boy. I said, take it easy. So I poor little boy, come on, shake him. If I know him, you'd be in no house. You'd not no house to live in.
Look at that.
I said, what do you mean, man? He said, son, me was the NW delegate at Alcoa.
Yes.
When you take over, and then beat off all the way off of the job. You labor right man, then beat all the way. And you see me I run up and you ask me, where me going? I said, me can't work this. And you say, hold on, come. And you take me back to the delegate and say, this man
so that's the right
must
spirit.
work.
Yes.
I said, me buy a house. Shake him in again, boy. Ronnie,
I love the story.
I feel
good. What
does
that story tell us? That story tells us that it is that the committee, coming together around a common
leadership,
cause.
Ronnie.
Of course. So I'm saying no. If we heard Mark Golding, yes, we have heard Mr. Andrew Holness. I don't want cuss. Why the two of them can't sit down? Yes,
no.
If you want to go to New York,
don't ask a question. Say it in a nice way.
Yeah. Please, could you?
Please
and thanks.
Gentlemen, where we are now, what we've been hearing,
what's a little lower gas?
Time for you and them, the two of you to sit down, and then you go back to your team.
You see the taxi man cried the other morning at the gas station because the man put gas in him car for him to run little and get little money, and when he go for pay for it, he couldn't pay for it.
Yeah, but Ronnie, it's not we cause it.
No, but it's we feel it.
So the point is this. Since we are feeling it, we have to figure out a way how we can take the pressure off all of us without the political harassment.
So I'm saying, Mark have something to offer, Andrew have something to offer.
Sit down now, man.
Sit down now.
And come talk to him. Yeah. And guess what? When you have a man like me and you, we'll accommodate them.
Anytime.
And we will assist them.
Yeah. And only for people outside. And what Irwine Clare was saying is that it is.
I'm afraid for this Irwine Clare and look like him.
No.
Look like him, feel like him. Him understand this thing.
Sure, man, he does. And that is his vocation. And but that is he was saying, look here, come, don't come to us with any narrow ism and schism.
Exactly.
Come to us with something national.
Because you're talking to people who are different, right?
Yeah.
But Ronnie, quickly before, there's 2 million people.
Yeah. The World Bank IDB study.
But Ronnie, that study is about 40 or 50 years old.
No, but even so, it's still not.
The point is this, that in my opinion, Jamaicans are better off today than they were 50 years ago.
Yeah, but that is no comfort.
No, that is a big comfort to me.
Yeah.
Because guess what? I told you my school days.
You did.
I told you my school days, my pint of Butler Bridge.
Yeah, but that can't be. You can't be complacent because you don't want your grandchildren to be in that position.
Ronnie, whatever you want to say, even with path, children are at a better level.
Clearly, but still, if what path is to do, which is to cause them to feed properly, is running faster than the increment that the government offers. That's not right.
Listen, I am not objecting to what Mark is saying.
So I have another issue related to that before time runs out on us.
Yes.
The cost of going back to school.
Yes.
Government is offering help with the uniform and the badge and so on.
Yes.
Yes. But the cost of a year's education in a good high school, I know what I'm talking about. I've done the analysis and talked to people, principals. The cost of a good education, apart from what government pays the teachers and some maintenance grants, etc., is about $80,000 a year. Yes? That's that gives the quality of education that you would want for your grandchildren and mine. Yes. Okay? And for everybody. The government is contributing $17,000. And they are saying in a circular that was put out day before yesterday, Monday, they are saying, in complete opposition to what Professor Orlando Patterson's report said, that parents are not obliged to contribute. You can ask them for a contribution. The Prime Minister tried to soften the Ministry of Education's thing. Yes.
By what? By what?
He said, don't be mean. If you can afford it, do it. Pay more. Yes. Make the contribution.
Yeah, but
well, you can't.
Let me just say.
How $17,000 can fit 80,000?
If you are putting 17,000, it's costing 80,000.
Yes, sir.
And you are to get a good education by the 17 plus the 80 or the 17
80.
Then you're not supporting good education.
No.
Unless you decide how much of the 80 you want to put to the 17, or who going to put between the 17 and the 80.
This is the whole point. That is the discussion. Yeah. You can't tell me that the parent has no responsibility. So who going to some fest? Who pay $120,000 for prep school?
Hold on. That is a political thing. That
but
you need to go and talk to your politician friend about
but your politics, hello. No, but the principle of you and I getting together in this way is that politics must be used to uplift, not to down press.
And politics must be up to unite.
And sensible. You cannot take 17 and pay for 80.
And if you're going to use 17 and 80, somebody in the middle not going to have nothing.
Well, this is it. All that happens in the school is they cut down the services, they cut down the quality, and you end up with a pretty graduation picture and no subjects and nothing in your head.
Well,
so this we mustn't take politics and do stupidity.
Let it.
And then the same. What we do is get into the heads of the parents. Plenty of the parents can't pay anything, and therefore they should get full service. Don't watch out.
Not the parents.
Without the children.
You have decided that it takes $80,000 to produce a good student.
Who everybody must
get. Who's going to get a production who's going to get.
But don't tell me that the contribution to this to the school must come after the car payment, or after the Sumfest payment, or after you're done drink liquor on a Friday afternoon. No, sir.
No,
we need the ministry not to put out that circular. With all respect to them, I know the people and I regard them.
But the circular is going to say
what? The circular say no, you can't ask for a contribution because they cut out. They say auxiliary fees are gone. Foolishness. But you can't ask for more than you asked last year when the cost of education has gone up like everything else. So what are you saying to the schools?
That the government is going to take up the part.
No, they're not. They are absolutely not. Look at the education budget. There's no money there for that. We are in the midst of a financial year with that money. There's none there.
So let me ask you.
And the government cannot.
Let me ask you for the last question. If it's 18,000 you're going to give me, and it takes 80,000 to make a good student to give a good professional, do you expect to get a good student, a good professional?
No. So what?
So hold on. There's an ambitious guy like me who wants an education.
Yes, sir.
And if 18 can't give me, me have to get it.
Sure.
So man can touch this and get it.
Yes.
What? They're not going to touch.
Yes.
So therefore, to stop the touching.
Yes.
And the scamming.
We have to make a proper arrangement, and we have to say to people in our economic condition right now. Hear me now, PNP man.
Yes.
Michael Manley's notion of free education is a wonderful one, but it's unaffordable right now.
Right.
And therefore, what we have to have is a realistic cost sharing. Yes, and we have to be frank and open about it, and we cannot make politics keep us back from that, because ultimately we are killing our own children. What could be worse than that?
No, let us work on that point. Let us work on that point.
Yes, coming back next week.
Let us come back to say, look here, do you want a good education to give a good profession?
That's it.
And if you want a good education to give a good profession, let us decide how we are going to do it.
Once again, public on the Bridge 99, here and abroad, Colonel Charles and I are agreeing as we complete. Thanks so much to you, LaFane, to you, Jeffrey, to Patricia Sutherland, to Mark Golding and Irwine Clare and Lisa Hanna, and all of the others who have made this program a possibility. We give way to Nikki Z on the bridge. Join us next Wednesday. Till then, all the blessings. Take care.